Okay, so today we are going to be talking about Gahambars. Okay, some of you may have attended Gahambars, some of you may know what they are. So we are going to go into a little more detail today about what exactly Gahambars are. Okay, and then of course we will have our other usual topics. So we'll do some prayers. Today we have another new Monajat coming up. Okay, so earlier, some sessions back, we had discussed about what are monajats, and we heard one monajat. Today we'll hear and learn a new monajat. Okay, then we have the quiz, and of course Neville Uncle's Shahnama stories. Yeah, anytime you have questions, please feel free to ask. Type them in the chat box or ask the questions. So let's begin. So does anyone know what is a Gahambar? Can somebody tell me? Or if you have attended any Gahambars, can you tell us what you did over there?
Krishnas can tell.
No, nobody?
Krishnas can tell. So Krishnas can tell.
Krishnas can tell. Okay, Krishnas.
So Gahambars are that we pray Gahambars to our dear departed souls.
Okay.
For our dear departed souls.
Okay. It's not only dear departed souls. Yes, we sometimes we do have Gahambars for departed souls also, but Gahambars are basically, they are seasonal festivals. Okay. So we celebrate Gahambars as Parsis, as Zoroastrians. They started this practice of celebrating seasonal festivals in a way of saying thanks, in a way of expressing our gratitude to Ahura Mazda for all his creations. Okay. So as we know, Ahura Mazda created all these creations. He created this world, the sky, earth, waters, plants, vegetables, animals, and man. So these are all the creations which Ahura Mazda made. And we should always be thankful to God, to Ahura Mazda, for having given us all these wonderful things. Okay. So this Gahambar was a way of giving thanks. Sorry, we had lost the connection. Is the screen visible to you all?
No, sir. No, sir.
Okay, do you see it now?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes,
Right.
sir.
So let us continue. Yeah, so these are festivals to thank God for his creations. Now, in the olden days, everything was very much dependent on the festival, on the seasons and the weather. So you had to have regular rains so that your crops would grow. You needed the seasons to follow in a proper manner. So you needed the summer, the rains, the winter, spring. So people used to celebrate these festivals as per the various seasons. The word Gahambar is derived from a Palvi word Gahambars, which means time for collection. Okay. Here it is referring to collecting nature's blessings. Some people also say it is time for collection, meaning time for people getting together and celebrating it as a community. So these Gahambars were celebrated more as a communal festival rather than individual. Okay, many festivals you celebrate at home individually, but here it is, these were celebrated together as a community. So people would come together and enjoy and celebrate this festival. There are 6 Gahambars in the entire year, and each Gahambar has a duration of 5 days. Okay. Each of these Gahambars is celebrated in a particular season. So each one is associated with a particular season and also associated with one of the material creations in the order of the creation. Okay, so this is the order, the evolutionary order, how Ahura Mazda created all these creations when he created the material world. Okay, in one of our earlier lectures, we had discussed how Ahura Mazda first created the spiritual world. He created all the Ameshaspans, the Yazads, and everything, the spiritual beings to help him. And then he created the material world. Okay, so even in the material world, he created these creations in a particular order. So first came the sky, then the waters were created, then he created the earth, the soil. Okay, so in the soil, you could grow plants, vegetables. So then the plants, vegetables were created, they grew. Then we got animals. The animals were created and they could then eat and survive on these plants. And finally, he created man. Okay, so these are the creations in their order of creation. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And accordingly, each of the Gahambars is associated with each of these creations. Along with these creations, you also have an Ameshaspan associated with the creation. So you can also say that there is a link between the Gahambar, the creation, and the Ameshaspan, because the Ameshaspantas have been created by Ahura Mazda to look after each of these creations. Right? We said Kordadi Azad is for the waters, Aspanda Ameshaspan for the earth, Amarda Ameshaspan for plants and vegetables, Vaman Ameshaspan for animals, like that. Yeah. Now the Gahambar, when it is celebrated as a festival, there are two aspects to it. Okay, the first is the religious aspect. So this is related to performing various religious ceremonies like the Afringan, the Baj, Whisperer, Yasna, and so on. So these are religious ceremonies which are performed for the Gahambar, for that Ameshaspan, or for basically thanking Ahura Mazda for all his creations. And the second part is communal feasting. Okay, as you know, we Parsis all love to have parties and food and feasting. So the second part is a communal feasting. So as I said, this is not individual, but the entire community. So in the old days, the whole village would get together and everyone would sit and eat together. So everyone, whether they were rich, poor, they would all sit together as one big community, one big family, and eat in a common place. And each of those people would also contribute. Okay, so they would either contribute in cash or kind. So some people might give money to sponsor the Gahambar or host part of it. Other people would donate food, so grains or vegetables or whatever, to help prepare the food. Yeah, Kushnaz, you have a question? You need to unmute yourself.
Sir, I was asking, why in like we say there are 30 this like Homer's Brahman. So, sir, I've never learned what is all the meanings of all those 30 days.
Okay, so this you are asking about the 30 days, the 30 Roj, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so I mean, I don't know whether you were there in one of the earliest lectures, but earlier we had covered all the 7 Ameshaspans. Okay, so there is a kind of hierarchy in the Zoroastrian religion. Okay, like how in school you have a principal, then you have supervisors, then you have teachers. Yeah, so same way in our religion there is a hierarchy. So right at the top there is Ahura Mazda, who is the overall, the highest of the high, the highest being. Okay, then you have the Ameshaspans, who are like supervisors. So they are the next level. And then each of these Ameshaspans, as we said, each Ameshaspan looks after some material creation and has some other spiritual virtue or spiritual aspect. Like when you say Bamanamashaspan, he looks after animals, which is the material creation. And the spiritual aspect is the good mind. We say Wohu Mano or Baman. So like that, each Ameshaspan has a material creation and a spiritual aspect that he looks after. And each of these 7 Ameshaspans, okay, there are 6 Ameshaspans, and Auramazda himself is also considered as an Ameshaspan. So these 7 together, each of them have helpers, okay, who are all the other Yazads or divine beings. So each of these Ameshaspans has 3 or 4 additional helpers. And those are the names given to each of the 30 rojas that we have. So Ormazd, Bamman, Adibeshwar, like that. So the first 7 are the 7 Ameshaspans, Ormazd to Amardad. And then you have all these other co-workers, or also known as Hamkars in Gujarati. Okay. So coming back to our Gambar, there is communal feasting where all the people get together and eat together. So it helps in building communal unity and harmony. Okay, when everyone comes together, you party, you sing, dance, have fun, you eat together, it builds a communal unity, it builds harmony within the community. Okay, like when you have a party, you call your friends, you all meet together, you enjoy it together. It builds that friendship, it builds that bond between people. People come together and contribute either in cash or kind. So you can, I mean, the rich people sometimes give a lot of money. They sponsor the whole Gahambars. Sometimes people who cannot afford to donate a lot of it may donate some food grains or vegetables or food stuff. And it is not necessary that you, if you cannot afford anything, it's not necessary that you have to give. If you look at the prayer ceremony of the Gambar, which is known as the Afrin of Gahambar, it uses the words Yazad, Sizad. Okay. So meaning you can pray, you perform, you eat, you give. So it suggests different ways in which you can participate in the Gambar celebration. Okay. You can, it's not that you have to always donate money. People who do not have a lot of money can contribute in other ways. Even when you pray, even when you give a meaning, not necessarily money, you might give your time, or you can help somebody. So even that is a form of charity. So you can pray, you can perform the ceremony, you can attend the ceremony, you eat the food, and you give something to someone. All of these are different ways in which you can celebrate the Gambar or participate in a Gambar. Okay. And as per our religious texts, participating in a Gambar is an act of spiritual merit. So when you participate in the Gambar, it gives you spiritual benefits also. So let us look at what are the 6 Gahambars. Does anyone know the names of the 6 Gahambars? No? Okay. Let us look at them. Each of the names.
So, Arish.
Yeah, Arish.
Sir, Mediozarem, Metishaev, Ayatrem, Mediarem, Hamaspet, Medem.
Okay, very good. You missed out one, but very good. Yeah. Mediozarem, Medio Ashem. Then Paitishem, Ayatrem, Mediarem, and Hamaspet Medem. Excellent, Arish. Okay, so each of these names, the name itself suggests the season. Okay. So like when you say Mediozarem, Medio is in the middle. So mid-spring is Mediozarem. So this comes in the middle of spring. Now we have to remember that the seasons were as per the Iranian seasons, okay, the Iranian climate. So they do not necessarily match with our Indian climate and seasons now. Plus in those days, you know, the year began on Jamshedi Nowroz, 21st March, okay, when we have the spring equinox. That was considered as the beginning of the new year. So the seasons are taken as per that. So that is why if you look at the months and the days, you might start wondering, that our Adibesh Maino comes sometime in September. So how can you have mid-spring over there? But you have to remember that their calendar started on 21st March. So Adibesh would start somewhere in April, so which would be mid-spring for them. So like that, the seasons are as per the Iranian seasons, the Iranian climate. So it is 5 days from Roj Khorshet to Roj Depmer of the Ma Adibesh. And this is for the material creation sky. So the first one, mid-spring, is for the sky, Maidiozarem Gambar, 5 days from Khorshet to Depmer of Ma Adibesh. The second one is Maidio Hashem. Again, Maidio meaning mid, so middle of summer. And this one is from Roj Khorshet to Depmer of Ma Tir. Okay, so after another 2 months. So they are at intervals of around approximately 2 months. Sometimes it's a little more or less, but generally it is spread like that. So you get 6 in the course of the whole year. And the creation here is waters. Okay, so each of them, each of the Gahambars, you are thanking Aura Mazda, you are being grateful to him for the various creations, for the sky, for the waters. The third one is Paiti Shem. So this is about harvest time. Okay, so in spring, when the new year begins, they would be sowing their seeds. And then after a few months, it's time to, your crops grow and it's time to harvest their crops. So Paiti Shem was a harvest time Gambar from Roj Ashtat to Anneran of Ma Sherevar. Okay. And the material creation for Paiti Shem is the earth. So this was the time when they would be harvesting the crops, and once you get all the good crops harvested, you want to be thankful, you want to thank Aura Mazda for his beneficence. The fourth one, Ayatrem, refers to herding time. Okay, so you are going to herd your cattle, your sheep, and this is from Roj Ashtat to Anneran of Mer Maino. And this one is related to the material creation plants. Maidiarem, again the Maidia meaning mid, so it is mid-winter. From Roj Mer to Behram of the day Maino. Okay, so the 10th month, day month, Roj Mer to Behram. So this would be around December as per their calendar. The material creation here is cattle. And the last one, Hamas Patmaidem. It's a very long, like a tongue twister. So this name means mid part of all, or the pre-spring Gambar. So just before the spring starts, so just before your new year. Okay, or the vernal equinox, which is 21st of January. Right? You know the equinox. Equinox is the day when the night and day are exactly equal.
Isn't it 21st of December?
What?
The equinox, the vernal equinox, June and December.
The equinox is 21st March and 21st September. 21st or rather 22nd December is the shortest day in our northern hemisphere. Okay. And in the southern, of course, it's the longest day. And similarly, you have June 21st, which is our longest day in northern hemisphere. Okay. So equinox is when the day and night are exactly equal. And that is 21st March and 21st September. Okay. And 21st March is when the spring begins, which is why we have the Jamshedi Nowruz, the new year is considered as the spring starting is considered as the new year. Okay, there is one slight difference here that, yeah.
Sir, can you just please show the previous slide for 1 minute?
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. We'll also be sharing these presentations with you. So as I said, if you have given your mobile numbers, we'll add you to the WhatsApp group, and at the end of the class, you will be getting a copy of the presentation. So here it was from 5 days from Ashtat to Anneran of the last month, which is Aspandad. But then they decided to extend it to include also the last 5 days of the year, which is the Gathas. So this is the only one where you have an extended Gambar, extended celebration. And this is, the Gathas are also the time when you remember your dear departed souls. Okay. So this is the only Gambar which has been extended to 10 days. And this one refers to the material creation, man. Okay, so these are the 6 main Gambars, the seasonal Gambars, which are celebrated in the course of the year. In the ancient days in Iran, things were very much dependent on agriculture, on the crops, on seasons. So people used to celebrate them very regularly. After coming to India, the practice became a little less. Also with modernization, dependence on the weather and all got a little reduced. But even now, some people still do celebrate the Gambars, not as elaborately, but they are still celebrated even in India. And there are times when people have a communal gathering and they eat food together. So you can have Gambars where the people get together and have a feast after some religious ceremony. So they have a jashan and some of these prayer ceremonies, and then they have a feasting. Okay. In addition to this, sometimes there are private Gambars or privately conducted Gambars. So people who want to, in memory of their dear departed ones, sometimes hold a Gambar to have a communal gathering and to share food together. Yes, Kushnas.
So always when I've seen when I go into Jashas, why do they keep holding their hands like this? The Dastujis.
Dastujis, okay, that is part of, in the Jashan ceremony, that is part of the ceremony. Okay. It is called the Paivan, where you hold hands together. It has a certain religious significance in the way the spiritual energy is drawn. Okay, so the Dastujis will hold it and they will also touch the Afargani with the chamach. Okay, so they establish a kind of spiritual connection with the fire. Okay.
So
yeah, Sharish.
yes. So will you show me the before slide, previous slide? Will you show?
Yeah.
Yes, sir. Before this slide.
One before.
Yes. Yes, this one. Thank you.
Okay. So sometimes people conduct it in memory of their departed ones, in their memory. So normally a jashan is performed and then they hold a feast for the community members. Okay, so they invite all people and they have a community gathering and community dinner. Okay. So sometimes you may have attended some of these. There are some also conducted by various other organizations.